Yo, what's going on? It's Axe Madwick back again to do some more music reviews. Going to be checking out some tracks tonight and giving feedback. Just like last time, my plan is to listen to the tracks straight through. I will not be pausing to comment in real time. I'll listen to the track and I'll be keeping notes while I'm listening. After the track plays, I'll give a recap. I might rewind back a little bit to refer to timestamps and points based on my feedback. But otherwise, just going to be listening through to the tracks. So, gonna be checking out a few places tonight. The first place we're gonna check is the Indie Music Feedback Discord server. So, gonna listen to some tracks here. Trying to listen to maybe three tracks here, and then after that, gonna check out the music feedback subreddit. So, any kind of genre, open to anything. Let's go take a look. I have not pre-selected these tracks, so I'm just going to scroll through and see what I can find. So in this music feedback channel, basically looking for posts that are tagged as feedback request. Okay, we've got a feedback request here from Rinay, maybe. They've got a link to SoundCloud, and it's called prinz.mp3 prod ilmore. So it sounds like Renee is not the producer of the track, and Renee is asking, what do you think of this song? All right, let's check it out.
Affenbrotbäume?
Ja, das sind sehr gierige Bäume. Jeden Tag hat er sich abgemüht, sie vom Wachsen abzuhalten. Dann wird man nämlich zu spät.
Eine Katastrophe.
Zum Glück gibt es auch gute Samenkörner.
Zieh mini Puffer an, AirPods drin, mach Playlist, Shuffle an, Haar sie trimmt 2021 hol das Team ran, Polo G und Mijna, Bildschirm sich ein Seed an. Kleine Kinder fangen wohnen bei der Stadt und jetzt jagen gleiche Kinder hier Blatt nach Blatt. Es ist meistens kalt, doch ich liebe es so, wo anders bekommst du nicht die gleiche Ins. Look aus dem Fenster raus und seh die ganze Stadt, Kinder auf dem Spielplatz, sie bis nachts wach, ich bin nachts auf Dach. Die 3 Gs und ein Butterfly, reden mehr als FLI, check die Deck auf alle Chai. In einem Park, stellt sie das Auto ab, laufe durch die Innenstadt, kauft ihr das Messer ab. Blaue in der Hand, Cousin macht sanft, gibt zur Blüche Hand, danach kick ich Van Damme. Lege mir Knies immer falsch auf, esse Roll immer mit Lamm. Latino dreht sich Pay vor 1 Gramm, raucht die Mini-Fresse und macht Beat an. Wer wenn mehr ist mehr als verdient, Mutter macht Staub zu Gold und Vater finanziert unser Leben im Quartier, mein Nachbar spielt Klavier, ich bin trans nach dem 4. Hey, wenn mehr ist mehr als verdient, Mutter macht Staub zu Gold und Vater finanziert unser Leben im Quartier, mein Nachbar spielt Klavier, ich bin trans nach dem 4, in meinem Umfeld reagiert. Ist mehr als verdient, Mutter macht Staub zu Gold und Vater finanziert unser Leben im Quartier, mein Nachbar spielt Klavier, ich bin trans nach dem 4, in meinem Umfeld reagiert. Mehr ist mehr als verdient, Mutter macht Staub zu Gold und Vater finanziert unser Leben im Quartier, mein Nachbar spielt Klavier, ich bin trans nach dem 4, in meinem Umfeld reagiert.
Und da erlebten sie ihren ersten gemeinsamen Sonnenaufgang und ihren ersten Sonnenuntergang.
All right, we got prinz.mp3 produced by Ilmore, and the artist is Renee. So I'll tell you, Renee, that it doesn't sound like you did the beat. I kind of chuckled a little bit because the beat is using a sample from Splice that I'm familiar with. I have it in my library. I've actually used that sample on a beat that I had been playing around with. Nothing that I had finished, but so just so you know, I think it's when you're looking for string samples and orchestral samples, it actually one of the first ones that shows up. So it could be used on multiple tracks potentially. It's might be so that was the thing that I noticed right off the bat. I'm not going to speak too much about the production because I don't think you did it. In terms of the vocals, for the first verse when your vocals came in, um, I thought that they might have had a little bit too much low end to them. So some EQ on the low, like a low cut, push it up further, 100 hertz ish, a little, even sometimes push it a little past that to kind of take away some of that conflict with the low end of the track. Didn't sound bad, or maybe a lift or a boost up in the high range, just a little bit. But I think even more so would probably just be some layering on the vocals, which I noticed that you did bring that in later in the track as the track went along. So I wrote down around 110. Yeah, so there, you kind of had just one layer on the vocals up until that point, and I think that's kind of made, given them a lack of depth. I liked it a lot when you had the vocals and the stereo coming in there on the vocals. I think you could have had a little more depth in the beginning, maybe just doubling some lines in some areas, and then ramp it up a bit like that later as the song goes on. I can't really speak to the lyrics. I'm not sure what language they were in. It sounded smooth, sounded cool. I think just some more depth to the vocals on the mix would be what I'm looking for. But otherwise, cool track. All right, that's my feedback for Renee. Friends, let's check out another one. All right, so we got feedback request from Kuro official. Feedback request, they uploaded a WAV file and they said, "Hello, everyone. I know the last time did not go well. I was accused of fully using AI. That's the past now. I'm back with something anti-AI, this time purely composed on Cakewalk BandLab. I hope I can get positive feedback. Thanks, everyone." All right, let's check it out. Demo finished by Kuro. Demo by Kuro. So not sure. I think it's strings. Is there a wind instrument there? Sounds like there's a violin and cello, a kind of a bed of music. Starts out, everything kind of comes in right off the bat. Switches up towards the middle and then kind of comes back. Um, I think that it's very textural and layered, kind of an ambience kind of thing. I'm not sure what your goal is with this. If you're trying to be a composer and you're looking for, to score music and potentially get it performed, by orchestra or play, string players playing on the real instruments, maybe just messing around. Um, I, I've done a little bit of music composition myself in the past. I don't do it much these days. I think that it's kind of just the same throughout. Like, I think you need a lead instrument or something to kind of come into the foreground more. It's pretty short, so let's listen back to it again and I'll kind of comment in real time. So you have like three instruments that I can hear. You have like the din 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 and the kind of just something that's more drony, and then there's something playing in the background. So on that section, first of all, I think that section is probably too short. Um, and I do think something needs to go up to a higher octave at a certain point. You played basically two repetitions and they're very similar. I think there could be a little more depth to what's going on there, and you could explore the range of the instruments a little bit more. And I think you could have things playing at different speeds to give it a little more interest. So everything's kind of long and sustained notes, and you could have something jumping around a little bit more. Would make that a little more interesting. Let's hear the second section. Obviously, you've gone up the octave here. But you haven't really explored the different speeds of things. Some instruments playing a little faster than others. Everything's going pretty long, drawn out, sustained notes. I think you could be using more instruments as well, but obviously, again, I don't know what your goal is. If you want this to be performed, you might have limitations around what type of players and how many players you have. But if you're really just going for something that would, be built out by, virtual instruments and not ever performed live, you shouldn't limit yourself, I don't think, to instrumentation from that standpoint. And I think you could bring in some more instruments. Here we've kind of returned back, so you kind of have two structures. You have the beginning, which is at the low. It's kind of like an ABA structure overall. There's something there. I think that you said finished. It sounds like an idea to me. It doesn't sound like a fully fleshed out piece yet. But keep doing what you're doing, and good luck. Have fun with it. All right. Let's listen to one more thing off of the Indie Music Feedback Discord server, and then we will switch over to the Music Feedback Reddit. So feedback request. This looks like a feedback request. Okay, so negative player, feedback request. Okay, this is a reinterpretation of an old-timey banjo song called The Cuckoo Bird. I first heard it when covered by Kirsten Hirsch, not familiar, of Throwing Muses. This is based off it, but original music and lots of liberties with lyrics. This one has been tough to mix and have been peeling away stuff. Two main questions. How do the slide guitars sound? I am just kind of fumbling my say around it. And two, the last part of the song, how's the mix? Is it too busy or is it okay? Any other feedback? Thanks. Okay, we have SoundCloud, we have Negative Player, The Cuckoo Bird Revisited, number 7. Let's take a listen.
And I'll wobble if I try to fly.
Cuckoo Bird Revisited #7 by Negative Player. Um, I like that song a lot. I thought that was a really good song. Your first of all, your vocals really sounded great. Your voice reminds me a little bit of the singer from Death Cab for Cutie. I'm forgetting his name, but it's just kind of that very I don't even know what the adjective is to describe it, but it just reminds me of that. So I really like listening to you sing and like listening to your voice. You mentioned in your message that you were peeling things back, I think kind of stripping things maybe away from what you had in the song. Honestly, I think that's a good thing, and I would actually want more of that. I feel like there was just too much instruments and too much stuff going on. And I really just wanted to listen to you sing and your voice and keep it more of a simple song with less, all the variety of instruments that you brought in over the course of the track. So I think that would have been an improvement, even to strip it back further. Um, the other thing that I just kind of a general comment, and you can kind of see this by looking at SoundCloud, it felt a little over processed and over compressed to me, especially for this kind of folky genre. I think a little more dynamic range throughout the track, some more quiet sections, and really let it get louder would have also brought more emotion and excitement and peaks and valleys into the track. So I think you could go a little bit later on the compression. Um, yeah, I mean, I liked a lot of the vocal layering that you did. Like I said, your voice sounds great. I like some of the stereo effects that you did. Um, yeah, it's a good track. I think you could do some stuff to improve it, but that is, I mean, it's an awesome song. I did think that the what these the banjo in the beginning, it sounded like the EQ was a little too narrow, like you had cut too much of the low off of it, especially, which you probably need to do in the mix when all the instruments come in, and maybe even to some degree when your vocals come in. But maybe some dynamic or automation around that EQ to make it a little more full when the track starts out. It felt a little empty, which sometimes that is a technique where you start out with a filtered version of something. You hear that a lot in electronic or hip hop type music, but for this, I felt like it should come in on more full sounding banjo. It felt a little empty to me off the bat, but otherwise, cool song. All right, gonna switch over now and check some stuff out on the music feedback Reddit. Let's see what we got here. So maybe we can check out this first song called Eternal Struggle by Vaughn Anderson. They said that it's their favorite thing they have made. Eternal Struggle was a piece I made about 10 years ago. I've kept it on SoundCloud and never really shared it. Now I'm posting it on YouTube in hopes that others might enjoy it as much as I do. Okay, not much information. Let's check it out and see what it's all about. Eternal Struggle by Vaughn Anderson. That's a great piece, Vaughn. That would sound excellent in performed with live instruments in a good space with good acoustics. It was arranged well. It had a great arc to it. It just it was a very good piece, very well put together. I assume you played guitar on it, composed arranged it, the composition aspect, and I assume the other parts were done with virtual instruments. And so, I mean, like I said, it's a good piece. The guitar, the only thing I thought was that at some point throughout the piece, the guitar playing should have maybe moved up an octave and maybe gotten a little more frantic when it starts to climax a bit, or hit the peak a bit. Just a little more on the guitar. I didn't feel like, and I'm a guitar player myself, maybe ex guitar player. I haven't been playing guitar seriously for a while, but I didn't feel like you had fully explored the whole range of the instrument throughout the track. And since it was kind of the main featured instrument, I think you could have used more parts of it. Um, and yeah, maybe some more dynamic range on the instrument. Something I like to do on an acoustic guitar too is use it in a percussive fashion. You can hit the smack the body of it, and you can get some interesting things that way. So I feel like you could have done a little more with the guitar in the track, but the whole packaging around it, all the arrangement, the instruments that you chose, sounded appropriate, sounded good. And yeah, just a nice, pleasant piece. So good work on it. All right, we're gonna check out one more track. Let's see what we got here. Soundtrack-esque. I want to hear something a little bit different. We've heard a few soundtrack type songs. The first song on my punk rock album, Get Ready, Get Set. All right, let's check this one out. Unsaid the band, Bandcamp, Red Hands. So we're looking Red Hands from Get Ready, Get Set by Unsaid. So Unsaid is the band. Their band, My Punk. It says Unsaid the band. I don't know if this is actually a band or just one person. Some of my songs are saying my, so I assume this is just a person. So I don't know that this is really a band. They have the lyrics here. This just came out earlier this week. All right, let's just take a listen to it. Red Hands from Get Ready, Get Set by Unsaid. All right, so a bunch of things to say about this track for me. Um, I guess the song felt very inside of a box, that it never really left. One of the main reasons for that is the drums. They did not change at all for the entire track, and that got very monotonous, to me, pretty quickly. So I think you need to do more with the drumming, or with the drums, however the drums are being delivered on that track. Um, the vocals are probably my favorite part about it. I liked how you went for the distorted, kind of almost the Strokes type of sound on them. They were good, but they also felt like they were in a box to some degree. Like they were sitting at the same kind of range. Didn't really go up too much. There was the woo thing, but I thought that aside from that thing that you added in, with the singing, you could have like had a maybe some harmonies or layers that were up higher to break out of the box. But ultimately, the drumming was really the thing that kept it in the box to me. Um, the the instruments are mixed very hot or recorded very hot, in however you did it. And I was okay with it. It was a little much for me until the bass came in. The bass was just like, I mean, it just didn't sound good to me, to be honest. It was just way too clipped, and to the point where it just sounded like, you know, garbage, I guess. Sorry, that's not a nice word, but it didn't sound it didn't sound good. Um, and let's see, what else do we got? Yeah, I mean, structurally it was a bit repetitive. I also wrote down, so the section around minute 36 where kind of everything dropped out. Like, you can have breakdowns like that, but the thing, there needs to be something happening during the breakdown that makes it worthwhile. A drum solo, there was some type of a guitar type solo happening there, but the playing was just not there really, to the point where like, that was, that was cool to listen to. So I think if you wanted to break it down, I would focus on your vocals more and doing something more interesting with the vocals during that section. So I don't think it's all. I think there's a lot of cool stuff going on. I like your aesthetic. I like generally what you're going for and trying to do, but I think there's a lot you could do to improve it. So that wraps it up for me for my reviews. Hope you guys all found them helpful, and I'll see you next time.